Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Aging with Attitude. My name is Phil Koch. I'm the host for tonight, and tonight we have a guest, Caroline Farmer.
Yes.
Caroline is Deputy Director of the Attorney General's Office of the North Carolina Department of Justice. Welcome, Caroline.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Great to have you. And you had a little bit of a drive this morning,
I did.
didn't you?
I did.
Yeah?
Drove from Raleigh.
Oh, well, welcome. Well, first of all, Caroline's going to talk to us a little bit about identity theft. So maybe to start with, why don't you tell us what identity theft is?
In North Carolina, the way it's defined is if anybody uses your private information, whether that be a credit card, checks, social security number, passport number, driver's license number, if they use that for any benefit, then it's the crime of identity theft. So if you notice, not just financial, it's, if they use it for getting out of traffic tickets or anything like that.
Yeah, and that's on the rise, I assume.
It
to say the
is,
least.
actually,
Yeah.
yes.
What kind of money are we talking about on a state level? I mean, is it something that even the state can track?
No, there's actually no survey. The last survey that was done was probably 6 or 7 years ago, and it was about 300,000 North Carolinians every year. We know that's gone up since then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, with credit cards on the rise and credit on the rise, that's going to increase, especially as our population increases.
It is. It is.
Well, you tell me more about shred-a-thons and what that means, how people can participate, and what should people bring to shred-a-thons?
Shred-a-thons are a wonderful opportunity for people to get rid of outdated tax records, utility bills, check stubs. For example, my father went to the very first one we had in North Carolina, and he did not know exactly what to bring, so he brought 28 of his 50 years of boxes that he'd stored in his attic all that time, silverfish included. And he brought them and was able to shred them. You don't have to remove staples, you don't have to remove paper clips, and a lot of times they'll either take cardboard or they'll take plastic. It's helpful if you check with the shredding company because they'll just determine which ones they can take.
So what is it? Is it a portable truck that is shredding everything in that particular location, or?
It's like an 18-wheeler truck.
Yeah.
Inside, it has a huge shredding mechanism. I've watched it shred a barbell before.
You're kidding.
No.
Oh my
So
God.
your paper clips, that's why it's okay. And so what it does is it allows you different machines operate differently. Some of them you have to dump the boxes actually into the physical thing, but you can watch it getting shredded. Others, it takes a big giant trash can, so you put your items in a trash can and you can watch it on a video screen as it goes into the truck and shred. So
Wow.
no hands can come anywhere near it, but you can watch it get shredded.
And where commonly is it done? Is it usually done through a public location, or especially in the Charlotte area, do you happen to know?
The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department is very involved. Better Business Bureau Foundation also here is very involved in promoting that. That being said, there's churches have hosted them. There's been banks who've hosted them. It just depends on the local host and where they work it out. But usually it's at a location where most people can find pretty easily. Swing by on the way home from work, swing by on a Saturday morning, and watch your stuff be shredded. And it's usually free. Occasionally you'll have it be a fundraiser for cancer or some other organization, and then in that case you can choose whether or not you want to donate. We send out notices.
In our viewers, or some of them are seniors, and they have prescription drugs. Can older prescription drug pill boxes, can they be brought there and shredded as well, or no?
Not usually. There are separate medicine drop-offs. The SBI coordinates with the local law enforcement around the state. You can find out more about that also at the Attorney General's office because we are involved in coordinating. It's usually a 2-week period of time that they designate as a medicine drop-off, and they will list the locations all around the state.
Okay. All right, so let me ask you a question as Joe consumer. I'm looking on my credit card statement.
Yes.
And I see a credit card charge that I'm questioning whether or not I actually charged that. What would your department recommend that we do?
Double check it. I would want you to know for sure whether or not it is a valid charge. What we see is, and we were sort of talking about this behind, is we see companies or fake companies charging small charges on people's credit cards, something insignificant that they would not necessarily notice. It could be $5, it could be $39, $19, just something that looks common, looks like a restaurant or a gas station, something that would not catch your eye.
Right.
And so if you see those things, you should check and make sure because of that. And if they get $19 from all of these different people, that's a lot of money for them to haul in.
All it takes is a few hundred people, and they've
done
got
well.
a little bit of business.
Yes,
there.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's actually why we've seen a lot of people move from drug dealing to make money into identity theft, because it's financially much more profitable. No one shoots at you, and generally you get away with it a lot easier. So we've seen a trend in that way.
What other kind of convictions are there for people that have been convicted of identity theft? I mean, is it a federal offense? I don't even know.
It is, yes,
yeah.
it is. It's pretty severe at the federal level.
Yeah.
But you also have to have done it, cross state lines and at a certain amount. A penny will not do it, in other words.
Right.
But things of that nature will accumulate.
We see a lot, we see, and I'm thinking about myself, to be honest, too, is, you get these emails and they say, you've won X amount of dollars, or how about this one? A long-lost relative in Nigeria has just left you X amount of dollars. Contact such and such bank. Is that on the rise? Because it seems like it is on my particular email chains.
You know what? It's funny because those are kind of phishing emails, which is phishing with a PH. It is, those have been on the rise, and their success originally was they had a large success and then it dropped off, and then they've had an increasing success again.
Really?
And a lot of it depends. I mean, we've seen the phishing emails like what you were just talking about, like that you're the next in line of a relative that you never knew existed until now, and you're inheriting all this money. You just got to wire the taxes and fees for the attorney.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's all. But they're getting more creative. I've seen one, a phishing email for a blood drive coordinator. Click on this link, sign up. What do a lot of blood drives ask for? Some private information, so it's a method to get private information. I've also seen ones for charities.
Yep.
So you have to watch out. My favorite is a 5-year-old boy who, a 5-year-old boy who emails and says that his father passed away, left him all this money, that his mother is a drug addict and is beating him, and he wants to run away, but he needs to put the money in a safe place. He's 5. I mean, my children are good, but they're not that good. At 5 years old, to write a coherent letter and to think this through about putting the money in another location. So those are very creative. And if you look at the email track, you can see that they go from country to country to country before they ever get to you.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It is. They're clever.
Very clever. They have to be.
Yeah.
Telemarketing calls. Tell me more about those. Is there a way to stop them, slow them down, or anything you recommend?
A lot of people tell me when I go out in public and speak that do not call doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Well, do not call doesn't stop the scam artist, because they don't really care if you're on the do not call.
Right.
But I'd still recommend people go and make sure they're still on the do not call list. There's been a lot of scams to take you off the do not call list. So they can go to the website, the donotcall.gov website, and they can check and make sure that that their phone numbers are still on the do not call. That's the first thing. Second thing is I would want to make sure people realize that caller ID can be faked.
Yeah.
So if, let's say I'm a thief, I can call up and I can pretend to be the American Red Cross. It'll come up on your caller ID as American Red Cross. Or I can be the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department or the IRS. You cannot trust caller ID as a means of verification. You don't necessarily know whether or not it actually is that organization. So keep that in mind when you're getting these calls. It may not be that organization, so you can't trust it. But I also want people to report it, because if they don't report it to us at the Attorney General's office, that these scam artists are calling. We can't warn the public about the scam artist. And if it's a legitimate company that's calling, then we can stop it.
Yeah.
So either way, we want to hear. So it's helpful if they go online and fill out a complaint report. It's pretty easy.
I got a call, on a side note, about 5 years ago when I was at a prior location. And my office staff said, Phil, you got to call. It's the Charlotte Police Department. So I'm taking that call.
Right.
How can I help you? Well, we're on a fundraiser right now, and for the Charlotte Police Department, it's very important, la da da. Well, it's great. I want to help out Charlotte Police Department, and it's for underprivileged kids, et cetera. Okay, well, who is this? He told me his name. And I said, well, what department do you work for? Right? And he goes, well, I work with Captain so-and-so. I said, okay, well, let me think about that, and maybe, I don't know, a little bit question mark. I'll get back to you. So I got the guy's telephone number, and I went to lunch, and it just so happens near my office is one of the substations of the Charlotte Police Department. So I literally walked in there and I said, hey, this is probably legit, but I got to ask. And so they said, I know Captain so-and-so. Let me call him. So he calls up Captain so-and-so, and he says, do you know the guy's name? He said, I've never heard of this guy before in my life. So I called the guy back, and I said, look, nobody knows who you are. And click.
Right, exactly.
That's scary.
It is.
Because, I was ready to give money. Charlotte Police Department, underprivileged youth. There's probably thousands of people that get calls like that, whether it's for Charlotte Police or any other, especially nonprofit giving organization that you want to benefit for and help out. If you're not sure, who do you suggest we call for in our particular region? Better Business Bureau or another number?
It just depends on who they say they are.
Okay.
And the difference between becoming a victim and not was doing exactly what you just did. It's that doing that one step of verification. It didn't take you that long to do it, and you knew whether or not it was legitimate before you gave out private information. First of all, you would never give it out when somebody calls you because you have no way of actually verifying it right then and there. You take in information, then you independently, like you went by the substation, you could call the substation that you look up the number yourself and verify. So a lot of it depends on who they say they are. There's a lot of charity watch organizations. The Better Business Bureau does have one that tells you a lot about the charity. I would want to make sure that it's the legitimate charity and that my money's going directly there before I donate. Same thing for any legitimate thing. The other thing, other than not giving out information on the incoming call, is stopping and verifying. Call, if it's Red Cross, call the Red Cross and find out if they have a drive going on right now, if this address that they've given you to send the donation is legitimate. There's things you can do for people who are not internet oriented and can't check it online. There's things that they can do that way. They can always contact the Attorney General's office and check to see if a business or organization, if there's any complaints, and whether or not that's something that we see a problem with. Usually with a lot of those scams, we can smell them pretty quickly because we've worked on it for a while.
Right.
The other thing about telemarketing calls that I want to make sure that y'all know, when people call, they can also change their voices, and they can mimic voices. So do understand that even if the voice sounds familiar, you need to double check it, because they can crank call someone, record the voice, and then use an electronic computerized system to spit out a sound that sounds just like that person. That's what's happening with the grandma-grandpa scams. It looks like it's calling from the grandchild, sounds like the grandchild, they're in desperate need of money, or they've been in an accident, and they're going to ask for the grandparent to do something. Well, taking that to the next level, not just the grandparent situation, but what if it's a pastor? They look up, they see who has been volunteering on the bulletin on the website. They crank call the church, record the pastor's voice, and then they call up sounding like the pastor, asking in desperate need of money to pay the bill. We all know somebody who would fall for that. So that's where we're seeing things go.
Is there, this might be a dumb question, but is there ever a time that you should ever give your Social Security number over the phone?
Only when you've looked up the number yourself.
Okay.
And you know you're contacting the right people and that they actually need it. For example, medical places when you go, originally they always ask for your Social Security number. I always hesitate because I want to make sure that they truly need my Social Security number before I give it. I got a same-day surgery on a little lump that I had, and they called the night before, don't eat after this time, don't drink after this time, common language we've heard before. And then they asked me for my Social Security number because I hadn't put it on the forms. How do I know that how do I know it's needed, and how do I know that this is the legitimate same-day surgery place?
Right.
I mean, other people knew I was having same-day surgery.
Yeah.
I talked about it openly. So how would I know? And so I hung up the phone, called the hospital back, got transferred back to the paper processing people, and ended up talking to the same person who called me. That's when I gave it out, because at that point I knew I had a chance to double check and make sure it was legitimate before I gave it out.
You know, when I lived overseas for a number of years, and I came back to the United States for a month when I was living overseas, and I had somebody, apparently, I didn't realize this till later, I got back in Hong Kong, I was living in Hong Kong at the time, the police department said, you did something wrong, and this is why your credit card number has been taken. I said, what happened? He said, you left a credit card receipt on a restaurant table. I said, so what? He said, well, the local mafia in Hong Kong at the time would pick up that receipt, create a brand new credit card with their name on it, and sign it, and nobody would ever question. Even if they asked for their ID, well, here's Jimmy whatever, because their actual name was on the credit card. I never even thought about that. And for a month, I think $2,400 were charged to my credit card. Now Visa, who was my credit card company, was able to give the money back, but it's scary to think what's out there and what can be done. Yeah.
And the thing about that example, I would much rather give out my Visa card number than I would give out my Social Security number. I can get a new Visa pretty quickly, but I cannot get a new Social Security number.
And they seem pretty good, at least this was a number of years ago, about wanting to verify every single signature and saying, okay, if your signature wasn't on that charge, Visa that is, saying, okay, yes, we agree that charge is going to be taken off your bill. Yes. I mean, they were good about that because they've seen that happen before, unfortunately.
Most of them are very easy to deal with, and they catch it pretty quickly, so that's helpful.
Well, good. Well, you know, there's a lot of charity calls that come in. How do you know, different charities and nonprofits that say, and everybody wants to help a nonprofit or a charity, as we talked earlier. Is there any way that you can tell if one is true or not? Or is there a website or anything you recommend in that regard?
Well, it's like the American Red Cross versus Red Cross of America.
Right.
How do you know which one's valid? So it's helpful, no matter what, to call and verify and look it up. Better Business Bureau, we mentioned earlier, has information on their website, but there's several Charity Watch online organizations. For those people who are not online, they can call the local Better Business Bureau and have a wise giving guide sent to them, and it's a booklet that shows how much how much money is given to the charitable purpose, and how much is going to salaries and so forth.
And every Better Business Bureau will have that?
Yes.
A wise giving guide can be obtained through a telephone call through the Better Business Bureau?
Yes.
Wow. And we have a great one in the Charlotte metro market, I must say. So that's great information to know. Facebook, online, LinkedIn. Tell us more about social media and what to look for and what to protect ourselves through social media.
A lot of people, especially older adults, are going online and joining Facebook and LinkedIn and so forth. And what we're finding is, a lot of times they're doing it to reconnect with old friends, and a lot of times they're doing it to watch over their grandchildren. What I will tell you is that people need to be careful, though, because even if you're not on Facebook, let's say you're not involved, but your grandchild or relatives are, don't let them out you. They will tell people, I'm so excited, Grandma's coming to visit this weekend from Springfield, Illinois. They've just told told people when you're leaving and when to rob your house. So as much as you love them and you're glad they're excited to see you, make sure they don't put it on their Facebook page, because you don't want that kind of information. Tell them afterwards how great the food was and how great the visit was, but not beforehand. Things like people get very accustomed to the social media emails. So-and-so wants to be your friend, so-and-so tagged you on a photo, and you click on the email sent to you by Facebook, LinkedIn, and other social media. You have to be careful. How do you know that that link is actually from Facebook, LinkedIn, and so forth? And especially with smartphones, people are using those, and they're not being as thorough double-checking things as they would with a computer, and they're clicking those links. Just as a general rule, I wouldn't click on any link.
Yeah.
Another example, my sister-in-law, she's one of those people that always falls for things. And so I get an email from her like several months ago, and it says, check out my recent vacation photos. Well, doing what I do, that's a normal thing for a sister-in-law to send you.
Yeah.
I just double-checked with her. Which vacation is this from? I can't check right now. Which vacation is this from? And then she wrote back, what are you talking about? And I said, the link you sent me about your vacation photos. I didn't send you a link. Your computer's been hacked.
Oh my goodness.
So this is that little bit of double checking.
Yeah.
Helped me know that that was not a legitimate link that was sent to me. If for Facebook and LinkedIn, just go directly to the website themselves. You'll be able to find what it is that you've gotten an alert about.
Seems like too is, I'll get an email and it'll be from a friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Similar content or something like that seems pretty innocent, but then at the top where it says to, my name will be in there, and you can almost see, alphabetically A through Z of all these various emails, and that seems pretty suspicious. I won't even open it up. I'll just delete it.
Yes,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
right?
I do.
Yeah,
And in fact, a great one I got was addressed to Roy Cooper, the Attorney General, and my name was in there. It was a whole bunch of names that I recognized, obviously from the website or something. And then it was talking about our FedEx gift. There was a problem with delivery, and this was in December. So as you can imagine, people thought that it was a Christmas gift, that there was a problem with the delivery. Check on the link, and then they didn't actually have. It was totally not legitimate, because why would a bunch of us at the Attorney General's office have the same FedEx box that we needed to check on?
Exactly.
So exactly, that was the. So it's helpful to do just a little bit of checking before you click on links.
Is it good to as a parent, you talk with other parents, and of course, we've heard people say, okay, don't have your child's actual age on the site, and make sure they don't have their cell phone and email address, you know what I mean,
Yes.
in the profile page.
Yes.
Is there any truth to that? What do you suggest?
Yes, because first of all, if friends will have their accounts taken over.
Yeah.
That will give them access to your private information. For example, I only have my work information on my my profile with Facebook and LinkedIn and so forth, nothing personal. Because of the fact that occasionally I do get, friends' information gets hacked, and I get these emails that they're in London, or a Facebook message that they're in London and that their wallet has been stolen, and would I send them some money? So you just don't know. It's just worth it to be careful, especially with kids. They will accept anybody. They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so they accept people.
Yeah, it's scary.
It is.
Especially because friends of ours has a little girl, and they said they had actually put her age down, and by the time the mother found out about it, somebody had actually tried to email her, and it was not somebody her age.
Correct. That happens quite frequently.
Scary.
Instagram is where we're seeing a lot of kids too.
Really?
Yeah, and people don't really think about Instagram. It's a photograph app,
Yes.
and it's connected to Facebook in some ways, but you don't have to be a certain age to be on it. But we're finding a lot of poor communication in that way.
Yeah. But there's no question, there's people out there that will feed on people's fears, or their sympathies
Yes.
to try to get money,
Yes.
or God forbid, things that are worse out there, and that includes seniors. I mean, the biggest way for senior scams seems to be occurring is through social media and emails, and it's another avenue that's increasing.
Yes, it's easy for them to do a mass set of emails or messages and so forth. Phone is still, and always will be, a popular mechanism for people to fake it. So it's always worth double checking, talking to somebody else about any of these things.
Ask your daughter, ask your son, check with the Better Business Bureau, check with your department, Attorney General's office.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a toll-free number for the state of North Carolina that anybody can call.
Great. Tell me about the insurance for identity theft. I didn't even know that was out there, honestly.
Yes, it exists, and what I will tell you is there's a lot of scams related to it, and then there's a lot of things that you can do yourself.
Okay.
So, for example, security freeze is a North Carolina law that lets you lock your credit report down for new credit. There's more information on our website, or you can call us and we can send it to you. But basically, if you think about it, we have existing credit and there's new credit. Existing you have to monitor, but new credit, if you're not getting new credit often, you might want to lock it down with a security freeze, and that's free in North Carolina. But some of the insurance companies will offer to do something similar at $50, $100 a month, whatever it is. And so knowing what you can do for free versus knowing what you need to pay for is helpful. And go with an established company that you already have a relationship, that they already have your private information.
Right. Tell me again the telephone number for your department that you would recommend if somebody had a question to call.
877-5-NO-SCAM is the way we reference it, and it's for the North Carolina Consumer Protection Office within the North Carolina Department of Justice.
And the website, I think it's going to be on air. But
yes, www.ncdoj, which stands for North Carolina Department of Justice, and we're .gov for government instead of .com, so .gov.
Well, very good, very good. Well, I'll tell you something. You've taught me a few things, a lot today, actually. Something I'm going to be aware of moving forward, and I no doubt a lot of our viewers tonight will be better prepared for the future as we see things occur on the internet through telephone scams, and who to call if questions arise. So thank you very much. Caroline Farmer, Deputy Director, Attorney General, Office of the North Carolina Department of Justice, has been our visitor and guest tonight, and I really want to appreciate you coming, and especially your drive from Raleigh.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, again, my name is Phil Koch. I'm the host of Aging with Attitude. I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight, and have a good evening.